This starts the recording, and you can see from that that it's starting. Okay, well, I wanted to go over a lesson for factoring trinomials, both for hopefully that you will definitely remember it, and that this will help you with your college algebra factoring, because you need to know how to factor really well in college algebra. We use it for lots of things: finding zeros, finding x-intercepts, finding asymptotes. You just got to know how to factor. So let's take a look at factoring trinomials first. What is factoring? Well, you've got to take the trinomial and break it into the two binomial factors that would multiply to give you that desired trinomial. But so since factoring is the reverse of multiplying, let's make sure that you understand how to multiply two binomials first. Now, one of the methods that is really commonly taught is called the FOIL method. All it does is make sure that you distribute each of the two terms in the first binomial and multiply those times each of the two terms in the second binomial. And FOIL is just an acrostic for making sure that all of that distribution of multiplication happens. F stands for first, and what that means is you multiply the first term times the first term. So you're going to get 2x squared when you multiply these. O means the outside. So you make sure that you get the outside terms multiplied. That's going to be a plus 4x. I stands for the inside terms. So we're going to multiply these two inside terms. Minus 3 times plus 2x is going to be a what? Minus 6x. There you go. And L stands for last times last. So we're going to multiply negative 3 times a positive 4 and get a negative 12. Now, what do you notice about this? Are there some like terms in here inside this problem that we can add together? You got it. These are oftentimes going to be like terms that you can combine together. So when you finish your multiplication, you have to do one more step to combine these terms. It'll be 2x squared minus 2x minus 12. And so that is your final answer. This is the trinomial that results from multiplying two binomials. Now, your job in algebra, college algebra, is going to be to start with this trinomial and go backwards to the two binomials that multiply to get it. So let's talk about how I do that on the next slide. Now, this is just the way I've done it for 30-something years. That tells you how old I am. So, but this is the way I was taught it. There are a million other ways to learn this. There's the AC method, the amazing method, the stand on your head method, the smile right method. There's just so many methods. You could Google all of them. And I have no problem with you using those methods. But this is just the way that I do it. And I just wanted to teach it to you in case you're interested and want to use it. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is show you how I reverse FOIL this trinomial so that I can figure out what the factorization is for x squared minus 2x minus 15. First of all, I start with the first term, and I make sure that the first term in the first binomial times the first term in the second binomial is going to equal x squared. So x times x is going to equal x squared. Then I write down what numbers multiply to give me 15. Well, there's 1 times 15. Sorry. Don't know why that did that. 1 times 15. And what else? Well, there's 3 times 5. Then I'll look at the middle term. And in this particular situation, I think which of these factors, the 1 times 15 or the 3 times 5, actually add or subtract to give me a negative 2. It's the 3 and the 5. So what I'm going to do is take that 3. Whoa, that's interesting. It moved the whole thing. I'm just going to circle the 3 and show you that I'm going to put it here. And the 5, and it's going to go right here because 3 times 5 has to equal 15, but it's got to equal a negative 15. So we need a negative on either the 3 or the 5, but we've also got to do it in such a way that my inside added to my outside is going to add up to a minus 2x. So here we go. My inside is a 3x. My outside is a 5x, because 5 times x is 5x. Now, let's think of a way that we can put together 3x plus 5x or 3x minus 5x to get a minus 2x. It's a minus on the 5 and a plus on the 3x. When you combine those, you're going to get a minus 2x. Therefore, the 3 needs to have a plus on it, and the 5 needs to have a minus on it. This is the factorization for x squared minus 2x minus 15. Now, to check it, you could FOIL this out and make sure that when you FOIL it out, it does indeed equal x squared minus 2x minus 15. But this is just my little method. Now, do you notice the little smiley face here? This is why I call it my smiley face method, because when you get it right, it makes you smile. So there we go. Okay, this does it. Yeah. All right, we're back. Okay, we're going to factor x squared plus 8x plus 15. So I set up my parentheses, and x times x is x squared. And then 1 times 15 is a way to get 15, or the 3 times 5. Well, once again, we're going to use 3 times 5, but this time they need to add up to 8x. So we have our 3x, and we have our 5x. So our inside and outside needs to add up to 8x, and it's a plus 8x. So they both need to be positive. That tells us we need positives on both of those. There's our answer, x plus 3 times x plus 5. Okay, now let's do factoring 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. Now on this one, I'm going to multiply 3x times x to get our 3x squared. That's the first step that we need to do. I wonder if I can extend. There we go. I'm going to extend the page a little bit with a little more room. Now, the only way to get a 5 is 1 times 5. So, I'm going to put my 1 here and my 5 here, just to see if that's going to work. This will be a 1x. This will be a 15x. Is there any way to put 1 plus 15 or 1 minus 15 together and get a negative 2x? No, that's not going to work. So I'm going to pick up my eraser, and I'm going to erase what I've done, because that is not going to work, the 1 and the 5. So let's put the 5 here and the 1 here. I have switched the location of the 5 and the 1. Now we have 5 times x is 5x. 1 times 3x is 3x. Is there a way to put that together to get minus 2x? Yes. If you have a negative 5 plus 3 and you combine those, you're going to get a negative 2x. So the negative goes on the 5, and the plus goes back here on the 1, because the 1 times the 3 is what gave me that 3x. So that's why that plus is on the 1. 3x minus 5 times x plus 1 is the factorization of 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. Let's do 4x squared plus 10x minus 6. Now, the first thing I want you to notice about this problem is that 4, 10, and 6 all are divisible by 2. So I'm actually going to factor out a 2 first, and I'll have 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 to factor. The 2 is called your greatest common factor, and you always want to factor that out before you start trying to factor any trinomial, if possible, because it makes it easier to factor. This will be 2x times x to give me 2x squared. Then, what are the ways to get a 3? 1 times 3. So I'll put a 1 here and a 3 here. Now, let's look at this. 1 times x is 1x. 3 times 2x is 6x. If we put these together, there is a way to get a plus 5x. If we have a plus on the 6 and a minus on the 1, those are going to add to give me plus 5x. Now, the minus needs to go on the 1, and the plus needs to go on the two numbers that gave me the 6. Well, that would be the 3 times the 2. And now let's check our last times last term to make sure that works. Negative 1 times positive 3 indeed gives me a minus 3. So this is the correct factorization for this problem. If we had gotten the signs reversed, it would not have worked correctly, or if we had put the 3 and the 2 in the other place, or the 3 and the 1 in different places, it would not have worked. So this is the correct way to factor that. All right, let's go to the last practice session. Let's look at 3x squared minus 25x minus 28. The only way to get 3x squared is 3x times x. And notice you can't factor a 3 out of all three terms, so you just have to start factoring this one. Now the ways to get 28 are 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. Now, if I look at this, I could just start using 1 and 28, but I really don't think, well, actually 1 and 28 is what's going to work, because 28 minus 3 is 25. I think that's the one that's going to work, actually. Interesting. Let's think about it, though. 7, there may be two ways to factor this one, because 7 times 3 is 21, and 4 times x is 4x. And there's a way to make that minus 25x, just make both of those negative, and they add up to be minus 25x. So this would be an interesting way to think about this, but here's the problem. When I multiply negative 4 times negative 7, I get a positive 28, not a negative 28. And we need a negative 28 for our last times last. So that tells me that 4 times 7 is the wrong option, and I need to erase the 4 and the 7. Let's use the 1 and the 28. All right, 1 times 28. Now, if I put the 1 here and the 28 here, that's not going to work, because 3 times 28 is a really big number. That's not going to give us the 25. I need to switch and put the 28 here, and I need to put the 1 here. So my inside is going to be 28x. 1 times 3x is 3x. Okay. So first times first is 3x squared. Inside added to outside should be a minus 25x. All right, so we need a minus on the 28 and a plus on the 3 to get minus 25. So this will be a minus, this will be a plus. Now let's check our last term. Last times last has to equal minus 28. So negative 28 times positive 1. Is that going to be negative 28? Yes. So last times last checks. This is the factorization for this problem. 3x minus 28 times x plus 1. All right, let's move over to x squared plus 5x plus 6. X times x. Now, 2 times 3, 6 times 1. The problem here is that 6 minus 1 is 5. 2 plus 3 is also 5. How do we know which one to use? Well, you just have to check your answer at the end. I think because this is a plus, we need both of these to be a positive 2, positive 3, and that way those are going to add up to be a positive 5x. That's a plus 2x. That's a plus 3x. Add those together to get a plus 5x. Then last times last, 2 times 3 is a positive 6. So this is the correct factorization here. But look at the problem below it. We have a minus 6. That means that we're going to have alternating terms to get that negative 6 as our last times last. So x squared is easy, x times x. Then we're going to either use 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. But we know we need alternating signs so that that last one is a minus 6. So I believe we're going to have a plus 6 here and a minus 1 there, because my inside would be a plus 6x. Last times last would be, or no, my outside would be minus 1x. When you add that together, you get a plus 5x, which is what we needed. But then also, you check your last times last. Plus 6 times minus 1 is indeed a minus 6. So, first times first would be x squared. Outside plus inside is a plus 5x, and then last times last is a minus 6. That's how you check your work. This answer is x plus 6 times x minus 1, whereas up here, this plus made all the difference in the world, meaning it needed to be factored as x plus 2 times x plus 3. All right, last but not least, let's do this one. X squared minus 14x plus 45. X times x is x squared. Then we're going to have 1 times 45, 3 times 15, or 9 times 4. Oh, no, that's not right. 5 times 9, sorry. 9 times 5 is 45. So we need to probably use the 9 and the 5 to get the 14. All right, first times first, x times x is x squared. That works. Outside is a 5x. Inside is a 9x. We want to get a minus 14x when we add these together. Both of these need to be negative. Okay, and let's check our last times last just to make sure we get a plus 45. Last times last. Negative 9 times negative 5 is plus 45. So this is the factorization. X minus 9 times x minus 5 is the trinomial factorization for x squared minus 14x plus 45. I hope you will remember how to do this.